Throughout life, many of us fail to learn the easy way. We fail to listen to those that are older than us and that have experienced life struggles before we did. We see this in children. When a child reaches for a hot stove, a parent will reprimand them for their risky behavior. If a child's playing with an electrical outlet, a parent will command them to stop before they shock themselves. However, children don't learn by simply listening to their parents' commands. They continue their risky behavior when their backs of their parents are turned. They'll continue to try to touch that hot stovetop, and they'll continue to play around with the electrical outlet until something bad happens to them and they learn things the hard way. This doesn't necessarily change in adulthood. We often think that we know best, and we don't listen to those with more experience around us. And we often have to learn things the hard way ourselves. Can you think upon your own life and the times where you've had to learn from the school of hard knocks instead of listening to the wise counsel of those around you? God issued commands to populate the earth pretty early on within the scriptural stories. He told Adam and Eve, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth and subdue it." God later reissues the same command to Noah and his family, not once but twice, stating, "Be fruitful and multiply and fill the earth." And then, "Be fruitful and multiply, increase greatly on the earth and multiply." So what did the people of only a few generations later do? Well, they rebelled, of course. You see, we are all fallen, and we all have this tendency to do what we want to do and not listen to the voice of reason or those who are wiser and more experienced around us. Surely there's no one wiser and who knows better than the creator of all things. The people of this day that we're talking about decided to make a stand by building this huge tower, or as we would call it today, a ziggurat. Not unlike the pyramids in Giza or Mexico, these things would have towered well above anything that they had previously built. Now, God realized that the desire for men to rule themselves and to not submit to Him drove them to build this idolic structure in a way to make a name for themselves. Despite their efforts, God intervenes to accomplish His will. He confuses their language in the midst of building this gigantic structure. And the men are unable to communicate between themselves. God paves the way for His better plan to reconcile man back to Himself through His Son, Jesus Christ, despite man's desire to rebel. Much like the child with the hot stove or the electrical outlet, the men of this day are unwilling to listen to the wise counsel given to Adam and Noah. It wasn't that they were ignorant of this command, as they repeat it within their statement, saying, "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower with its top in the heavens, and let us make a name for ourselves, lest we be dispersed over the face of the whole earth." However, the stakes were too high, and God knew that the only way for man to be made right again was to accomplish the plan that He had already laid out in His command. While people in the city may have been ignorant in the fullness of God's plan, they're only harming themselves by rebelling against a Creator that truly wanted the best for them. In our own lives, we should recognize that our own sinful nature tempts us to rebel against what God wants for us. We often take nothing else into consideration than what we want and what feels good. And while, yes, this is natural, we should strive to recognize it and submit to the Lord in these times, instead of going our own way just because that's what we want. Please continue along with me as we learn more about this God that loves us and desperately longs for us. May God keep you and bless you. Really quick, before you go, let me explain why I felt led to start this channel. When talking to Pilate, Jesus said, "I have come into the world to bear witness to the truth. Everyone who is of the truth listens to my voice." Pilate responds by asking, "What is the truth?" It's evident that a lot of people are still asking this question almost 2,000 years later. And while we live in an amazing time with the wealth of the world's knowledge available in the palm of our hands, there's often too much information, leaving people unable to process what's true and what's not true. Paul describes such times in this way when he writes his second letter to his disciple Timothy: "Always learning and never able to arrive at a knowledge of the truth." There are several who expound on what truth is, but often they are misguided, or they are malice in their intent, or they're being intellectually dishonest. My hope is that I am able to provide evidence for why the scriptural narrative is true, a contextual and practical explanation of the principles found in its writings, and a defense for other believers. As Peter explains, you should always be prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you, yet do it with gentleness and respect. If you find value in this channel as I do, there are a few ways you can help, both by gifting and without spending any money. First, react and interact with these videos wherever you're watching from. This greatly helps the channel be seen by others and new people. Next, please share this content with others you feel may benefit from the information found here. Also, please subscribe to this channel on all social media. And finally, if you feel led to, and if you have the means to, please consider giving to this channel through the outlets previously mentioned, or the channel's Patreon. All these links are going to be in the video description. Thank you for watching, and may God keep you and bless you.